Welcome to My Sister's Keeper radio show on PowerPlayRadioNetwork.com. And be sure when you go there to click on Power TV. Welcome to My Sister's Keeper. Be sure to check us out on Facebook. If you're following us with Facebook, we are live right now. You can check us out on our Instagram and Twitter page at My Sister's Keeper. My name is DeAndrea.
And I'm Danita.
Tawanika.
And Alondo.
And we are My Sister's Keeper. SiSSTA'S. Yes. That means speak life into someone so they achieve success. Again, speak life into someone so they achieve success.
And welcome again to our first time listeners and viewers, and welcome back to our returning listeners and viewers. Just to give you a little insight on what we're about, our vision, we've come together to dispel the myth that black women can't get along. We see before you right now is 4 women from 4 different sororities who come from all walks of life, and our experiences have led us together to empower other women. We share the same foundational beliefs of what it truly means to be my sister's keeper.
And our focus is focusing on the whole woman. And what we mean by that is that we focus on the whole woman, focusing on you on the inside while we're intensifying the beauty on the outside. Because no one is perfect, but as a collective unit, we do complete each other.
Excellent. We are interactive, so we encourage you to tell a friend, tag a friend, to join in on the conversation, comment on our Facebook page, and even call in at the correct time, of course, but be listening so that you can join in the conversation. And again, welcome to My Sister's Keeper.
So we have some shout outs today. First of all, we want to shout out to the Sports Preacher radio show happening in his new studio home.
Next door.
Next door, the Man Cave, which has been redesigned again from what I heard. And he's on every Monday night right here at PowerPlayRadioNetwork.com from 7 to 9. Thank you to our lovely Mr. and Mrs. Willis for seeing ability in us and giving us the opportunity to bring forth the message, and they also prepared dinner for us tonight, so shout out to them.
Yes.
And last but not surely not least, to our first followers, our Facebook family, and our new members of our new My Sister's Keeper group that we have established. So ladies, it is for sisters only. Sorry men, but it is for sisters only, where we just take the time to encourage each other and speak life into each other. So if you are a sister, please feel free to find us on My Sister's Keeper Facebook group page. You will be searched before you are allowed entry. So once again, that's why it's so important that you tag a friend, tell a friend, tweet a friend to tune in now. So now the time has come. I know we've been gone for so long, ladies. So long.
What, 3 weeks?
So long, yes. 3 weeks. But we're back. And so now it's time to go find the beverage of your choice. Sit back and relax as we talk about today's topic, which is part of the Love on the New Management Chronicles, Project versus Reject Relationships, Part 2.
Part 2.
It was deep. We had to bring it back. So we're going to take a short break, and when we return, we are going to get into our topic segment entitled To My Sister, where we'll discuss love on the new management and project versus reject relationships from last week. So stay tuned.
PowerPlayRadioNetwork.com and Power TV. Be sure to check us out on PowerPlayRadioNetwork.com and view us on our Facebook page at My Sister's Keeper. SiSSTAS. Yes. Or you can give us a call at 469-996-0804. I'm Danita.
My name is Deandria.
I'm Tawanika.
And I am A. Londa.
So today we're going to be talking to my sisters. And in this segment, we're going to continue our discussion on the Love Chronicles. We're going to continue our session, Love Under New Management, the Chronicles, and we're talking about project versus reject today. And we're looking to discuss, project versus reject relationships and the signs that we're going to see either coming into the relationships, going out of the relationship. We've had a very, very interesting and a very, very good conversation so far, so we want to keep it rolling. Let's go ahead and recap a little bit about project versus reject and what it means and what we're going to be discussing.
So I guess project, I guess looking at what we talked about last time was, first of all, identifying if you are in a project or a reject relationship. Hopefully if you notice that you're in a reject relationship, you ran quickly. But we talked about making sure that you clean out your closet. Sometimes we always seek love, but we don't take the time to love ourselves. And so what we've done is we've kept the clothes that we have outgrown or clothes that are too big. We keep them in our closet. We don't get rid of them. And so just like people in our lives, we want to keep everyone there when we can only wear one outfit at a time. I think I'm going to enhance that. We can only wear one outfit at a time. So
Let's just sew two together.
Two together to make one. Yeah.
It takes two to make a thing go wrong. No, but
sometimes it does to make one project.
Yeah.
To make a project, but at the end we talked about loving yourself, and so what was it going to take to get the authentic love that you were looking for? You got to look at yourself, basically.
Right.
And we're going to discuss that deeper when we're talking about On Your Ish. That's coming up.
Absolutely.
But I think even when we're talking about projects, rejects, remember the last segment we talked about is that sometimes it's a project and you see the vision because they've actually spoken it to you, but then all of a sudden it becomes a reject because they want you to take over the project. And they no longer want to manage their own project. So they're now a reject and you've acquired a new project that you didn't even ask for.
That false presentation.
Yes. And we also discussed when with the project, identifying that, knowing what you're getting into, and taking it head on. If you said, hey, I want a DIY, y'all might have saw on our live feed from Saturday, if I want a DIY, then own that.
We called it a BAM, remember?
Yeah,
build
a BAM. A build a man. If you want to build a man, own that. That's your thing.
Right.
Don't be ashamed if
Don't
that's
get
what
mad.
you want to do.
Right.
But
Don't
don't
get
get
mad.
mad if that project fails.
When the arm it's put on your kneecap.
Yeah. And it just comes tumbling down. Just own it and be accountable for it.
I think being accountable. See, it's still accountable. I know one thing we talked about on Saturday as well was that sometimes in the process of us doing it ourselves, that there are different levels. Some homes we buy, they are just a complete. They were dilapidated. We should have just left them there. We should have just burned them down and just kept the property.
Keep the land. Just keep the land.
Just but
draw
then,
equity off the land.
off the land.
Don't let it depreciate because it's
Booker T said on the
calculated
land.
out. On the
But-
land.
But also, looking at not so much after the rent. So if it can be renovated, what does that mean, and what work do you put in it, and how involved should you be in it? One thing I said was that sometimes when you decide to take on that project, when you get around your homegirls after you told them that they were. Your homegirls already perceived they were rejects from the beginning because no real friend wants their friend to go through anything remotely, awful. So they've already categorized him as a reject when you started calling in the late hours, saying, "Can you come stay in the room? Can you come to the house? What you doing?" And you know already as a friend, trouble is amongst us.
Right.
But one thing you have to do is once you realize that you have put him in a reject pile amongst your friends, you then have to accept the project. Because either you're going to walk away from it, but if you choose to stay with it, you can no longer come. And of course, we're your friends, and we're going to always have your back. But what conversation is that? Is that fair to your friend? Because now you're giving them something that they've pretty much already shown you. You see the signs. You just want what the flesh is weak. You want what you want, and so understand that because you want what you want, then you're going to have to do the whole renovated house and. Pretty much.
I'm not renovating foundation now.
Yeah.
Now
Well,
that I'm not
but
going to do.
But the foundation is cracked.
Okay, then you need to leave it alone. You don't buy that house.
Oh, but,
Right.
but the house is so pretty from the outside.
Okay,
Yeah,
absolutely.
outside.
But then over time, foundation, tree roots start cracking it. Water, you don't water it, so you're not feeding it, so it cracks more. So why do you keep it? But then as a girlfriend, you say calling in the late night hours, that's true. But at the end of the day, my sister's keeper is going to keep you accountable for you to own your ish. Because you took that project when I told you it was a reject.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So are you going to own it or are you just going to let it go? Because at the end of the day, reality is that I'm accountable to my friend to let you know, as you building this project, okay, girl, look, you 10 in and he's 0 in. What, or vice versa, he's 10 in, she's 0 in.
Right.
Doesn't matter, either way you look at it, how much are you going to continue to invest? You going to go bankrupt?
Well, you're
And
already
you still
negative.
have nothing.
The foundation is cracked.
negative.
You're already negative. No one's going to insure that property. So
Right.
you have to fix it. So we already know that's going to cost you thousands to fix it. So that's going to be your time, your energy, your money, your tears, your heartache, and every piece of energy that you have. So why maintain a reject relationship if the foundation is cracked and your closet is full? That means you have no house
No
to
room.
store your closet, and you have no room to find out what's really in there for you.
Unless I stay there until I can actually buy a new house with good foundation.
Hey, time.
And that's a choice.
Right.
That's a
That's
choice.
a
That's
choice.
time. That's an
Yeah,
investment.
a choice.
Correct. We all have the choices to make, and so yeah, we can advise our friends, our loved ones to make different choices, but at the end of the day, it is the individual's choice who is actually in that project or dealing with that reject to make a decision. And we can advise, but at some point, even as a friend or as a family member, we have to back up, hands off, and let them make that choice and let them be okay. How long do you entertain that as a friend or a loved one?
My oxygen is limited.
So
My friends will tell you, I only got a certain amount of oxygen to give you.
As a friend, I just say, hey, if you got the invite and you showed up to the Christmas party, you in it for the long haul. That's all I'm saying. You come to the house. If I invite you to the house and you keep coming to the house, then listen, we all in it together. Because at any moment, I may break.
That's the thing, though. Like, your real sister, once
gonna
you
stay.
share that information with them, they're not going to forget.
Right.
They're not going to forget. They're going to hold you accountable. Like you said, you only have so much oxygen to share and so much talking to give on a certain situation. But
Right.
you're not going to forget it as a friend. If you share something with me, then if you hurt and you're mad, I'm upset too. And so then when you happy again, I haven't forgotten how you were last night when you called me late last night.
Right.
And I haven't forgotten about that because I'm not in the situation with you. So
Right.
when y'all made up and all this love, I'm still upset and I'm still hurt.
Because I ain't got the
you're hurt.
romance.
I don't have that.
I
So
ain't got the
when
makeup,
you and
the
him
breakup
come
to make
around
up.
and y'all all love him, I'm still giving him the side eye. Like what's So I think sometimes as women we're kind of reluctant to share with that sister friend for that reason. I don't want them to judge me. I don't want them to feel, I don't want her to be looking at me some kind of way because I'm not going nowhere. So tomorrow or next week, when we back together again, then she's gonna know my dirty laundry
Right.
and hold me accountable for it. So then what do I do?
Keep your sister at your bed.
It's not a real sister.
Well,
Because everybody has that sister that you can. Because I have those sisters that I can tell, and they gonna say, "You like it, you love it, I like it."
Right.
But I might give him the side eye when you walk out the room, but when you come back, I'm a straighten up and we gonna act like we like him today. But but at the same time, there's some stuff that as women, even as I can't say men because I don't know if men talk about it. I ain't no man. I can't tell you about it. But as a woman, I know that there are sometimes we just want to pour our heart out to that confidant, and then we don't understand the perimeters or the fine line that we walk of what we share.
Right.
So sometimes you got to be careful about what you share. There's just some friends you just can't tell because I'm sorry, they closet still got 2 big clothes and 2 little clothes in it. So then they go when you add your 2 big clothes and 2 little clothes, then they got a whole bunch of baggage. So they still adding your baggage with their baggage. So their anger just intensifies, where yours is temporal. Or you be like, okay, girl, because who knows what line, what you took, when you took on that relationship. Did you say for better, for worse, even though you giving him the wife duties without the ring?
No, sorry.
That's
That's
a
a whole
whole
nother
nother
subject.
subject.
but when you take on that relationship, you say, okay, we're gonna have our ups and downs, but that's for us to work out, and that's how, I have a friend and he says, get out of my file. You all in my file. That means you telling too much of my personal business that you don't need to know about. So at the end of the day, we have to be mindful of what we share. Yeah. Because some information just can't be shared. Because if you come to me and say he slapped you, ain't no I'm going to smile in his face and I'm going to want to slap him.
Yeah.
Right, we do.
But some women do choose to stay. And that's your choice. But I'm going to choose to hit. That's not one you might want to tell me. But, but once again, we have to own our own stuff. We have to be accountable for it. And so when it comes down to it, I have to love you right where you are in the state and the condition that you're in. If I'm truly going to be my sister's keeper.
Right.
My sister's keeper is not defined and it's not contingent upon how I think you should act and respond, but it's actually loving you right where you are today.
Right. And that's what we talked about, Nita.
That is what we talked about. And now it's time for us to pay some bills. And when we come back from the commercial break, we will be sipping while you're spilling. So, when we're sipping while we're spilling when we come back.
And then when we come back, we're going to talk about listing the three of the signs. How do you know if you've required a project versus a reject? For those who are Facebook Live, you're going to go silence, but we haven't left. Please stay with us. But if you do want to hear the music and everything that entertains you, always can go to www.powerplayradionetwork.com and never miss anything that's going on throughout the whole entire show. But as Danita stated, we got to pay some bills to keep it real. So we'll be back shortly. Take care.
Keep it real.
Mic still on? Talk. You can talk. Mic's off.
What happened to my page?
and Twitter page at My Sister's Keeper. So now the show turns over to you, the listener and viewer, in our segment called We Are Sipping While You're Spilling. So go on and pour that tea.
Sipping while you're spilling.
Sipping while you're spilling.
Sipping while you're spilling.
Get it?
Sipping while you're spilling. Go on and pour that tea.
Yes. Hey. So the way we're gonna do this is the listeners and viewers have the chance to answer the question about our topic. Only one host will respond, and the host will pull the name out of the box. The host has to elaborate, defend, suggest alternatives, agree, disagree, give advice, etc. So give us a call, post on our live feed, and let us know your thoughts about our topic.
So our topic today, we're talking about love under new management, project versus reject, relationships part 2. And so we talked about what are the signs. How do you know if you're in a project or reject relationship? What are the signs? For those of you, I guess, if you got out of it, go ahead and hit us up on Facebook, or feel free to call in at 469-996-0804. Once again, that's 469-996-0804, or you can respond interactively on our Facebook page. What are the 3 signs that let you know that this was a project relationship or reject relationship? So I guess we can start with our own, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I'll start. So, project versus reject. I think one of the ways that you know that you have a project is the Mr. or Mrs. Entrepreneur who has walked away from their career, but you walked in their life in between. So they're in between jobs, in between leaving work and seeking entrepreneurship. And they tell you, I am working on my entrepreneurship. I have walked away. I drew out all my retirement. I drew out all my 401k because I believe in my vision. Hashtag project. So when you take that project on, you say, okay, am I going to be there to support in every facet? And every facet means, am I going to be there to support them mentally, emotionally, financially, where, bills get tight, rent due, don't have the money, so can I move in with you?
No, you may
not. But hey, you knew it was a project, so did you choose to take it on? Or, you have to decide. But that's a project, because and it's not that project is a bad term. It is what it is. He was in a project phase, or she was in a project phase. Do I choose to take on that project knowing that it may be, hey, I got to go over here and I need some gas money. Can you front me gas money? And you get nothing in return, not even a dinner, not even some flowers sent to work, not even a card. You may get a handwritten letter that say, I appreciate you. And that's all that you get because their pen is on the last point of ink. But sometimes we don't really know what we know what we're taking on, but we don't know what we're taking on. And then we want Sister Girl, Shaniqua, Moniqua, whoever to come out because he can't fulfill you in that area, and you mad, but you walked into that relationship. He told you. He told you. I left my job, cashed in 401k, cashed in retirement. I am seeking my dream. I am seeking my vision. And because he had all the physical attributes, okay, boo, I'm with you. I'm ride or die. But and then when die come, you want to play dead. No, ma'am.
You can't have a plan.
You can't do it. But then at the same time, I remember Juanita Bonham had this CD out talking about what is your position. You have to help your man birth out his vision. Well, are you going to help him birth it out? Because if you're going to help him birth it out, then you take all the pains that come with it. I've never seen nobody get to choose what kind of labor pain intensity that they get. So, I mean, are you going to take on that project? And if you're going to take on that project, you got to take everything that goes with it. And that means the success and the failures and the in-betweens. And I think sometimes we just don't. And when I was young, I chose not to take on projects, so I left it. And it was a reject. But that's my 2 cents.
What about you, Dee?
Yeah.
That's that happy laugh.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Three
Okay,
sides.
so I'm gonna flip the script just for a moment because what Alonda just said was, sometimes you gotta apply that to the people you have in your life as well. So again, everything she said, you could flip it to man versus woman in the same situation, or you can do friends.
Yes.
And sometimes we get caught up trying to bring our friends into our destiny. We try to carry them. We try to look out for them. And so, at some point you have to be willing to say, is it too much? Are they taking the energy vampires that we talked about? Are they energy vampires, or are they, real friends? When the time gets tough and you've given them everything, you've, to the point where I know some friends, they help pay bills in their household. And so when the opportunity was to pay it forward or pay it back to the person, they never received that. And so you have to look at how long are you going to be willing to invest in someone else when you barely have time to invest in yourself. So, I look at, I think I've went into reflection mode. I'm a little bit different now on both sides. I once you understand what it is that you want, I guess, from a relationship, you're more apt to handle it differently. You're more apt to approach it differently. So when I'm looking at projects, sometimes you don't know you have a project because, again, we're attracted to the physical. We're attracted to what looks nice, what talks nice. The best representative. That's what we attach ourselves to, the best representative, because in actuality, that's what we wanted for ourselves. But the problem was that you sent the wrong representative. So had you sent the other one, I would have been able to get through this a little bit quicker.
Right.
But I think looking at how much am I giving and not receiving back. Let's say, relationships sometimes are 80-20, 90-10, 50-50.
Right.
But when you say 90-10 and you always find yourself on the 90% side and not receiving the 10%, then they never talk to us past that. Because again, that's a stroke waiting to happen. That's snaps waiting to happen. That's fatal attraction waiting to happen. That's cops gone wrong. It lends itself to having opportunities where you remove yourself and you become emotionally compromised. And when you become emotionally compromised behind being in love, or love will make you do some crazy things, you can't see it. And so when you become blinded by it, it becomes your reject relationship, because guess what? It's bringing you down. So you have to, I look at it now being reflective of, is this project making me better, making things better, or is it taking away? And the moment that it starts subtracting, then it goes into the reject pile.
Okay.
The reject pile.
The reject pile. Oh, I have a list. It's so sad. I know.
You have a list
of
for the
list of rejects.
of rejects.
Oh, and I'm not when I say rejects, I don't mean people. Individual, these people are rejects. The situation,
the behavior,
is of a reject status, and so we stamp it reject.
Inconsistency would go in the reject pile. Lies would go in the reject pile.
Inconsistency is a big thing for me. Be it small or large, be consistent.
Whatever you start out to keep.
If you don't call me at 7 o'clock in the morning and say good morning, then I expect you to call me every day at 7 o'clock in the morning or somewhere close to it and say good morning. If you don't, I might have a problem.
Right.
Feel some kind of way.
I might feel some kind of way. Consistency.
What else would cause it to be a reject?
Flip the script. When did you become a project or a reject? Honey, I want to go back to school. I want to fulfill my dream. I done raised the kids and I done took care of you. Oh, okay. So now you're a project. So we always want to throw the ish out on the man, but we got to own our ish.
Yeah. Amen.
So, so when do we become projects? And then how do we handle it? Because when we become projects, And then he begins to say, well, baby, you ain't loving me the way I'm used to being loved. The baby, I ain't used to, I'm coming home to a dirty house. Well, honey, you know I'm at school. Yeah, I do. But we talked about this. So now he's acquired a project and we expect him to stay, and then we get confused and we don't understand when he goes creeping for his craving.
Because we are not maintaining just like we expect to be maintained. We're not maintaining.
We're not maintaining.
Exactly. But it's supposed to be understood because I just got this promotion in corporate America. I'm going to school. I'm working on my master's to better myself.
Right. I can't deal with your day-to-day needs because
Well, honey,
I got to do me.
Right. I forgot to do the laundry. Well, no, you're going to cook yourself something to eat and for the kids because I got to stay here late at work. And that one time becomes every other week. Every week becomes weekly, and then it becomes daily. But yet and still, don't let him miss our birthday.
Of course.
And we haven't cooked. We haven't cleaned. Now, we're the project, but we still want to be treated like he's the project.
That's good.
On your
On
ish.
your ish.
On your ish.
Wow.
You know, I look back and was talking to a friend the other day, and you know, actually I take that back. I was talking to my 17-year-old daughter, and so I asked her, "How can you determine?" Because she's going off to college, and she said, you know, I asked her, "Well, how can you determine if you encounter a reject?" And she said, "It's simple." She said, "I don't know." She said, "It's just simple." Now, granted, she said, "I've never been in a relationship before, so maybe I'm just talking, but I can see the signs." And so I said, "What are the signs?" She said, "Sometimes when you're giving all in a relationship," she said, "the moment that you have to put your dream on the back burner in order to elevate someone else, then you've already entered into a contractual relationship that may not lend itself in the favor of you." She said, "The moment that if a man is going to come," she said, "if a man's going to come into your life, again, he has to make you better. So if the situation to get better and you see the situation getting dramatically worse, then somewhere or another that it's not for you." And so I asked, I said, "Well, can a relationship get better? Can this person, you know, come out of the reject pile?" And she said, "Well, absolutely. They cannot be content." See, the moment you get content is the moment that you expect somebody to do something for you because you no longer do it for yourself. And I'm like, "Speak, child, speak. I can send you to college. Hallelujah." But you know, she just said, you know, when they become content. So she said the moment they get out and want to change the situation for themselves and not expect somebody else to do it, the moment they can come out. She said, so when I'm looking for somebody and when I'm looking for a relationship, I'm looking at what value do they add? What value do I add? And she said, because I may have to check myself. They may not like that. I just don't like getting up and cooking every day. And she said, so if that's the case, the first person I'm going to look for is someone who says, you don't have to cook. She said, I'm not going to try to adjust who I am to fit what he wants. I said, oh, speak, child, speak. And so she said, I'm not going to readjust that. So if I have to do that and I find myself doing that, then I've lost who I am. And she said, I always want to be true to myself. And so therefore I wouldn't be content with what somebody else has that I can't give.
Ooh, I like that.
I like that putting yourself on the back burner, trying to elevate them. I know personally that's where I got lost along the way at one point because, somebody else was not where I was, had not achieved a degree, and then they want me to put my degree on the back burner, the fact that I want to go get my master's or, whatever the case may be. And then it's like, so then when you start doing that, then that's what they kind of expect to lay out for you. When you start doing that, then, you get complacent, you get comfortable. First it's your career, then it's your degree, then it's something else. You can't go up because they want to keep you there. They want to keep you comfortable. They want to keep their finger on you.
Control.
Because you owe them something. Oh, man.
Well, Miss Sylvia Fullwood Paler said, no broke project.
No broke project.
She said if they are handling their business and growing the business, then stay with the project.
Right.
And that's true.
Right. Handling the business and growing the business.
Not I'm trying to. I'm trying to.
Or how do I start the business and you got to help me?
You don't have a plan?
My plan
What
is
His plan was he wanted a car wash. That's the plan. That's beginning and end.
Where's your
of
where's
this
your
plan.
business plan?
Personal. All that
Do you
stuff
have a
personal.
business?
You know I don't know how to make a business plan. What's that? I told you I have a plan to make this business work.
Okay, so then
Yeah, I'm
tell
just gonna
me
do the work.
what is your plan?
Oh, you just don't want to support nobody. You don't believe in me. You don't
I
believe
know.
in me. You don't believe in me. You don't even care. I mean that's
But
what's
I need to
wrong
know what the
with,
plan-
with the
Oh.
other side.
I'm gonna
You
turn
never
it
want to
on.
take the time to listen. You never want to take the time to hear
But-
what it is I have to say.
What am I listening to? I've asked you what's your plan.
What's your plan?
Linda,
You
Linda,
can't- you
Linda,
can't tell me.
Linda.
Linda.
Listen, Linda. Listen,
He ain't got no
I
plan.
am the man.
Okay.
Linda, you
Stop.
respect the man, Linda.
I respect the man with the plan.
With the plan.
With a plan.
Oh, Linda.
So how you gonna leave me and you don't have a plan?
A man without a
You
plan.
didn't say leave. You said lead.
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 Some
Where's
think
the
they
order?
can lead with just because they are man.
What's that order? Lynn, can you do your job? You got a job in
I
this
think
too.
that might be a
Sir.
different topic, huh?
It's a different topic
That's a
because
different
and it's heavy because again it still goes into the point of we all have to own our ish and even in entering that conversation because that's another conversation.
Because I flip it to the other side and I say, well, dear woman, sit down. Let him wear the pants.
Right. Well, yeah.
Dear woman, sit down. Let him wear the
Because
pants.
sometimes
If he say he going to get the car washed on Friday, don't go on Thursday because you wanted it washed when you wanted
But
it
we're so
washed.
independent. What do you mean?
What do you mean?
I guess sometimes we look at as someone has told me, we look at independence as having our own materialistic things, and we think that's what the songs have defined independence as. We talk about independency from on 4th of July when we regained our independence. it didn't say, hey, everybody gets a house. Everybody, when we got independent, no one said, yeah, now go on and give me those 5 cars, give me that mansion. No one said that. They said, oh, we're free from control.
That's it.
And so when we're independent, we're free from control. So you have to look at, if you're saying you're a woman and you're an independent woman, what's controlling you? Who's controlling you? Because again, it's a lot to have the materialistic things, but again, when we don't have that companionship, we're supplementing materialistic things for companionship.
But when you say what's controlling us, that independent woman normally is your baggage, which means that he's got to take on a project full of baggage.
Yeah.
I know, I sound like I'm anti-women, huh? But I'm really not. We just got to own
We
our
have to own
stuff.
it.
Right.
Because we don't realize how much we damage men because of our baggage and because of our quote unquote expectations of what we want. And your expectations is because of some damage that you got down the road.
Right.
And now that you're at the stop sign and you got a green light, you want him to actually fix your baggage.
Right.
And he can't.
Right.
Not at all.
I think looking at my 6-year-old, I learned because he's growing, and so he found himself in kindergarten this past year and had all the girls and everything else. And so one little girl he liked in particular just said, I'm breaking up with you. And he came home so devastated. And he wouldn't even tell me. He would tell my daughter. So he was looking at me like, nothing's wrong with me. But then he confided in his sister. And so he said, it's just something about girls are just so mean and so bossy. But she broke up with me. And then she told me she was going with my friend in my face. And he said, and I said, well, what? I said, in your face, what was breaking up? He said, well, breaking up, she went to go play with somebody else, making sure, trying to see how they internalize.
At age 7.
Yeah. But he said, she broke up with me, and I just saw how crushed she was. And so I just realized, I said, you know what? The woman wasn't hurt first. I think the man was hurt first. Somewhere down the road when these men became who they are, besides, mama issues, maybe / daddy issues and genetics. But, I think honestly they went into a relationship not knowing how painful it can be. And we know men, most of them mask the hurt. And when the ones you get to tell you they're hurt, then they're obviously hurt. And so we're taught as women, we're taught to be resilient and, supportive. And so we're going to figure out how to get ourselves better. But for them, they go out and do more of the devastation and more of the destruction because they never want to connect with that part
That
of
pain
it.
again.
That pain again.
Right.
And so then again, now we look at fast forward, we have women doing the same thing, hurt people, and we have more women that are doing more things than the men would do in a relationship of just, returning the hurt. And so at some point, again, it goes back to when do we stop, when do we observe that it's really us, and what we can only be in control of what we bring to the relationship. We can only be in control of our actions, our reactions, our emotions. No one can take that from them unless you give it to them. So the moment you become emotionally compromised, you have to ask yourself, am I willing to blow this up and destroy it? Or am I willing to take a step back and say, you know what? Let me choose to love, so let me go back in it one more time. Now, again, if you keep going in and you keep getting it knocked over the head or run into a wall, then you got to check yourself too.
You're the common
And
denominator.
you're the common
Right.
denominator. You need to remove yourself. So, when we look at those things, I'm glad that you brought that up. It's just looking at it from a woman's perspective. And when we go into we're going into the top of the hour, but when we come back, we're really going to go into detail about what it is, of how we categorize people. We have this little thought of how do we categorize people and how do we actually line them up and put them in a place in our lives to know how we have to handle them and when we feel like handling them. When we come back, we're going to go out and we're going to come back with a good read. We have an author by the name of Kim Robinson who's going to join us at the top of the hour because we want to make sure that you find things that are fulfilling. And if reading is one of your pastimes or hobbies, always pick up a book. They tell us if you don't want people to know something.
You mean not Facebook?
Not
Not
Facebook.
Facebook.
Not Facebook. Because if they don't want
Not
you to
their
know
book.
something, they said put it in the book. If you want everybody to know everything, go to Facebook.
Facebook.
Right.
Uh-oh.
So that's the difference. That's the difference. So stay tuned. Those of you watching us with on Facebook Live, you'll hear a brief silence, but we're not going anywhere. Go ahead and drop us some comments. Feel free to still call in if you want, and we'll be right back after this short commercial.
See you in a little bit.
SiSSTAS.
Yes.
Our radio show on PowerPlayRadioNetwork.com. And click on Power TV if you happen to find your way to that website. Be sure to check us out on our Facebook page, My Sister's Keeper, our closed group for sisters only under My Sister's Keeper, and also on our Instagram and Twitter at My Sister's Keeper. So we're back at the top of the hour.
Yes.
And you just heard the PSA, the National Domestic Violence Hotline, where you can go to the website, or if you need to make a phone call, because again, when we talk about domestic violence, the best help you can do is to seek help for yourself. And so if you can't talk to your friends, you can call the 1-800-799-SAFE SAFE, or that's 1-800-799-7233. You have counselors who are waiting and standing by to talk to you, and make sure you reach out to them. It is the domestic violence hotline. So we're back.
Got a call where you from?
Okay. Well, no, we're back. We're actually going to go through. It's time for our segment called A Good Read before we go back into our topic. And so, our good read today, we want to make sure that you're able to see it. Mr. Willis is going to pull it up for us.
Oh, okay. A good read.
And what a good read is, while we're waiting on it to come up, a good read is where we are focusing and marketing, allowing individuals who have written books to be able to share just a brief snippet about their book and tell us about it, and that will encourage each and every one of us to actually find a good read. And these are books that we have actually spoken with the authors. We have actually, some of us have read them. So we say that it is a good read from us. And so now we have, while they're waiting on trying to get the book pulled up and get the author in, I want to give some shout outs to Facebook. And before I do that, I do want to read Donette Atkins' post. She posted, both men and women should be responsible and accountable for themselves before entering any relationship. A lot of times, the person you are getting involved with, so that makes accountable for accepting the behavior. Now, you need to be responsible for what is best for you and help yourself grow. Just because you like what you do doesn't mean that it's always good for you. And that is so true.
True.
That is true. So many times I like it, but I know it ain't good for me.
Exactly.
And you enter into that relationship based upon, okay, I like it.
Right.
Looks good. Feels good.
Right. And also, I want to give a shout out to Lisa Winfield, Michelle Carlton, Blue Piper, Latarsha Edwards, Janet Smith Lemons, Latarsha Edwards, Shaniqua Simpson, Sonia Moore. Hey, Sonia.
Hey, Sonia.
Hey, girl. Miss Annette Manuel, Sylvia Fullwood Paler, Latarsha Edwards. Those are just a few of our fans that we have. We thank you all for joining in. We thank you for commenting and posting. And if you have not been on our page today, please go out. Our mom of the week was Miss Christina Puga. She's a single mom. If you read, she had a transparent moment that when today was a rough day for me, when I felt like I wanted to just give up, because you're tired, you just don't want to go to work today. You don't want to do this, and you just feel like there's nobody out there like you. To read her story is impeccable. Her transparent moment, it's not even her story. It was just one snippet of a day. But in the end, there was a message for each and every one of us. So if you have not gone out there, please go out there, read it. It's on our Facebook page, My Sister's Keeper, and then show her some love, because we never know what the next person is going through. So we love you, Christina. You truly inspired us. And y'all, and while you're reading her story, something that we did not post out there, she is rocking a 4.0 with her GPA for her master's.
Awesome.
So, please show her some love. That's what being My Sister's Keeper is about. And we just love her, and we can't wait to see the day that she actually gets that master's and get to walk across. So we'll be posting it again. But once again, please go out there and see our mom. And if you know someone who's deserving of it, please inbox us so we can post them and feature them. Of course, we'll ask their permission, but it's always good to recognize our sisters. So I think, are we ready, Dee?
I think we are. We're ready for our good read. We bring to you today the author by the name of Kim Robinson. She was raised in Los Angeles, California. Her first book was The Root in the Gumbo, and it's a historical novel. Basically explores the adventures of her family in Lake Charles, Louisiana. She shares their experiences from the 1800s to the 20th century through slavery, Reconstruction, and the Prohibition eras. And then she wrote another book. So her second book was Street Life to Housewife. And it's a generational sequel that revisits the characters that you grew to love in The Root and the Gumbo. She also has 2 cookbooks available, which is Food for the Soul, Recipes from Around the World, and Sweet Satisfaction, Desserts and Drinks. So we bring you her today because she is releasing her trilogy, her newest book, which is called... It's posted, yes, A Civil Right to Love. A Civil Right to Love. And we're going to give her the opportunity to talk about it. A quick synopsis before she comes on. It's about a black woman who's attracted to a white man in the 1940s in California when interracial relationships were taboo. So I bring to you Miss Kim Robinson. Yay!
Hello.
Hey, Kim.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Let me see. Okay, what can I say about Civil Right to Love? A Civil Right to Love is my first book that has nothing to do with me, nothing to do with my family, just the people that have been jockeying in my head for permission, and I finally put them on paper. And I hope everybody loves it. So far, I've gotten really good feedback on it, and I just...
Uh-oh, we lost her for a moment.
She'll call us back. But while we're waiting, you can go on Amazon.com. It is Amazon.com, and you can search under Kim Robinson. That's ROBINSON. Or you can search A Civil Right to Love. We will post that on our Facebook radio page as well as in our My Sister's Keeper group page. And so you'll be able to get that. But she may be back. Let's see.
Okay, we got you. Okay, she's back.
She's back.
She's
She's
back.
back.
Okay, so what happened?
We got you.
Oh, we got disconnected.
Okay, well, we were talking about A Civil Right to Love, right?
Yes.
It's my first book, has nothing to do with me, nothing to do with my family. It's just the dreams that I have that I start putting down on paper, and these characters are jockeying for position, and I finally gave in. But everybody seems to like it, and I'm having a lot of fun with it because I don't have to worry about, okay, I can't tell this because this is a real person. I can't tell that. These people can do whatever they want, so I'm having a really good time with it.
And you said it was released today, Miss Kim?
No, what was released today was the Trinity that I sent to you.
The Trinity. Talking about like
And
the
the
3-in-1 Trinity?
The Trinity of Generation.
Really?
It's a combination of The Root and the Gumbo, Street Life to Housewife Part 1 and Part 2.
Okay.
And that's all about my family, and it came out on Amazon Kindle today. 1,250 pages of history. You know how everybody binge reads?
Uh-huh.
Well, now they can binge read my books.
And you said it's 1,250 pages?
Yep.
Can I get the Cliff Notes, please?
Give us a short version.
Raised in Compton, California, but it starts with The Root and the Gumbo, which starts in Lake Charles, Lafayette, and Broussard. everything that you've seen about African Americans trying to make it through slavery and Reconstruction era, KKK, it's all in there. And all my books are 95% true. I'm just not saying what part is and what part ain't.
Okay, good.
I don't know what keeps happening.
Not sure what keeps happening, but y'all heard Miss Kim talk about her books. Talked about the Trinity, 1,250 pages. And then also a Civil Right to Love. But on that 1,250 pages, we'll divide it by 4, and we'll each give you a synopsis of the amount of pages that we read.
Well, she did send it, so we thank you, Ms. Roberts. She did send us well, I guess the Word document. So you do have that. It is of her book, and she wanted us to have it, so I will be passing it on to you ladies.
Awesome.
So that we do have it. But it is Trinity of Generations. So corrected. I stand corrected. It is Trinity of Generations for her book, and that it also, she has a Civil Right to Love and the Rue and the Gumbo.
Awesome.
That's a combination of those characters in the Trinity. And so what you didn't get to hear also is that she said most 95% of her books are hers, and so that she are about her. And so the only one that was not was a Civil Right to Love, because it was separate from anything that she could think about that would relate to her.
Right.
But we know it may be some truth in there, because if you were sleeping on it and you dreamt about it, Miss Kim, we know somewhere down there in that subconscious, the characters came to life.
That's right.
But we do thank you for calling in. Again, if you have an author, if you're writing a book, again, we would love to get a copy of your transcript. Tell us where to pick up the book so that we can support you and make sure that we read it and allow our listeners and viewers to also take part in the journey with you.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So now we are going to go in and dive back into our Love on the New Management Chronicles. And I'm going to read a quote. And so the quote says, "Every time I thought I was being rejected from something good, I was actually being redirected to something better." Every time I thought I was being rejected from something good, I was actually being redirected to something better. And then the next quote says, "Never beg for a relationship. Be brave to accept the one who really wants to be with you, and reject the one who just pretends to be with you." So I know sometimes we found ourselves in the relationships where we were either being rejected, and sometimes, you know, I think we looked at reject as somebody telling us no. But, and so we take that as rejection. But we also take rejection when we're like the inconsistencies. Inconsistencies to many women means rejection, because you have stopped doing what you were doing, or something else is taking priority in what you were doing before.
Right.
So, you know, as women, you have to take the time to sit back and say, okay, well, what is changing? If he can't communicate to you what is happening, and you can't, you know, usually visibly see what's happening. If he's saying I'm at work all the time, then we trust that he's at work. Sometimes they got to call us from the work phone, and we're like, yeah, you're at work.
Call me on the work phone.
Yeah, hit me on the work phone. So now don't send me a text.
Video
Call me
chat.
from your desk.
Yes.
So, you
I
know.
call you Skype. I'm sorry.
No, but, you know, we want our men to be consistent. We want the people we're in relationships to be consistent. And so when you're looking at the other one, you know, the second one was never beg for a relationship. You know, I found out, you know, my mom used to tell me, always love the one who loves you 10 times more than you love yourself, and love them probably back. And so in the instance, because it's always going to come back to you to where they're willing to make it work. So the moment that, you know, sometimes when a relationship goes rocky, you have to really ask yourself, did I put myself in the relationship of what I wanted? Did I only seek what I wanted first? See, and that's where we get lost, because sometimes going into relationships, we're looking for what we benefit, what we get in return. Instead of going to, because a relationship is to relate and to join. And so therefore you should go in wanting to serve in that relationship versus being able to get something out, because if you are giving it and that person is giving it back, then, you know, you won't have as many of the issues that we have, because again, we go in for our own selfish reasons instead of looking at, are we truly ready for a relationship? So I think sometimes that sidetracks us. So what do you think about which one resonates more to you? Which quote?
For me, it's Well, I have something kind of for both of them. Never beg for a relationship, and be brave to accept the one who really wants to be with you, and reject the one who just pretends to want to be with you. I mean, that can kind of go for not just a man woman or a romantic relationship, but for a friendship. Because you grow up, you can grow apart. You have different things going on, and this kind of relates to the friendships that I developed as a teenager or a a young child, where everybody kind of grew apart. We started doing our own thing. We started raising our families and living our lives after college, and so we didn't connect like we used to. And then you would call and maybe not get a response, or you would come to town to visit and maybe not get to connect because you're off into your doing your own thing as an adult. And so it's not necessarily rejecting it, it's just putting it on hold for that time being, and maybe it'll come back around. And for me, it has come back around recently over the last probably 3 to 5 years. We've all reconnected and been able to now enjoy friendship at the level and the phase where we are in life. So it can feel like a rejection sometime if you really are putting forth effort and not getting anything back. But sometimes if you're patient, it will work out and bring itself back full circle. And then every time I thought I was being rejected from something good, I was actually being redirected to something better. And you can't see it necessarily when you're in it, when it's like the answer is no, you didn't get that job, you didn't get that promotion, or no, that's not the car for you, or no, that's not the house for you. And it's like, dang, what happened? But every time for me, when the answer was no, something definitely greater was in store for me. I've gotten the positions that I needed to be in, I've moved where I needed to move, and so forth.
Yeah, that one actually spoke to me, jumped off the page, that every time I thought I was being rejected from something good, I was actually being redirected to something better. Oftentimes we want what we want. If you don't seek counsel, I try to, hey, this is what I want, this new position, or this relationship, be it with a man or a friendship that you're trying to hold on to. It may not be time for that. It may not be the season for that. So I usually, just try to pray about it. And, even with the positions, a couple of years, what was that, last year, me looking for a new job. I'm applying and I'm interviewing, and, hey, I want this job. It has these perks. It has these benefits. I'm going to get to travel when I want to. I'm going to get the pay that I feel that I deserve. But is this for me? Do I just see all those bells and whistles? Is it really for me? When I get in there, am I going to be able to take the time with my family the way I need to? Am I going to grow the way I need to? How's this going to enhance me? How am I going to be able to display my talents to others? So, in asking and praying, I'm like, well, if this is not for me, then it's not for me. Yes, I want it, but is this what you foresee for me? So, hey, it's wiped out of there, okay? If it's not, then let me keep going on. And I function the same way with relationships. Like you spoke about those college and high school relationships, you have friends that are still here. No, we may not hang out, every weekend or talk on the phone every day, but I know my true friends.
Right.
And they've been there, they're going to be there. So that one really, really spoke to me. And, also the part about be brave to accept the one who really wants to be with you and reject the one who just pretends to be with you. A lot of times, we can say we don't. We see the signs a lot of times, those people that kind of just fake it to make it. They want to be a part of you, like you spoke about, D'Angelo. They want to be a part of you, be a part of what you're doing, but they're really not in it for the long haul.
Right.
And you see it a lot of times, but a lot of times you're trying to pull them on with you. This is my friend, I love her, or if it's your boyfriend, your husband, I love him, and but it's it's not, they are not for you. So you have to acknowledge that, and that's what I personally find hard, because I always try to look for the good in people. That's a fault of mine, and I'm like, well, but they did, but they are this, but they are that. Even they can just keep bam, 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 showing me something, showing me something, showing me something. I always try to see the good, and to reject the ones who just pretend to be with you.
Go.
You gotta let them go.
Let them go.
It's hard to
It's
let 'em
hard.
go.
It's hard.
It's hard, especially when it's, it starts out genuine, but then it becomes, you see the hidden agenda behind the original genuineness. I think we said earlier is the representative that comes out. And, it's hard because we start placing value on the quantity of time instead of the quality of the time that's been invested both ways. And I ditto the sentiments of both you and Nita when you talk about, what is it that has, how those impact you. And it's true, in every aspect of your life, I know for me, you look for relationships and you want those relationships to be something that it's just not going to be, not because of you, but it could be the other person just doesn't want it, or just doesn't see the value in it or see the necessity in it, but you keep, trying to go back, and you keep getting the door slammed in your face, or you keep getting, pushed to the curb, and then, finally it's like when you have to say enough is enough, or at the same time, you get rejected, that harsh rejection. And, you have to go through the grieving process. You go through denial. I can't believe they did that. And you accept it, and then you get angry, and then you bargain, and then you just, you have to go through it. But, it's hard. We talk about it from a relationship standpoint. We talk about it from, a friendship standpoint. But the hardest one to talk about is when it hits close to home, when it's family. Yeah. And you have some families that say blood is thicker than water, and they ride or die with that blood is thicker than water. And then you have those who just say, you know what, yeah, you family, but I don't have to accept you. I don't have to receive you for who you are. And and I know I'll probably because get a whole bunch of posts when I say this, but when we become saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost, and we take it to the extreme. We become extremists in our faith, and everybody's condemned when it doesn't align with the Word of God. But I forgot who said it, but it says every sinner has a present and every saint has a past. And we tend to forget, and then we want to sit here and we want to condemn, and it becomes borderline judgment. And it says, well, I don't have to deal with you, I just have to love you from afar. But that's not what the Word says. So therefore, you find yourself in a position where you're like, okay, but you say you love me, but then you can't accept me. Right. But you're an evangelist, you're a prophet, you're an apostle, you're a preacher, you're a teacher, you're in church every Sunday, you're in Sunday school meeting, you're in BTU, but yet and still you can't love unconditionally. You can't love with agape love, and then we question why are people not in church. But that's a whole nother topic in itself. But once again, it says every time I thought I was being rejected from something good, I was actually being redirected to something better. So when you look at it, that may not have been the church for you. Even though you thought it was good for you, it may not have been the church for you. It may not have been the pastor for you. It may not have been the ministry class for you, because he already has something better for you. Jeremiah 29:11.
Yes.
He knows the plan.
He knows the plan. He says to prosper you, not to harm you. And we have to be reminded of those things on a day-to-day basis, And we have control of what we allow into our space. And so sometimes it's hard, because what you allow into your space is like, okay, I'm accountable for that. I allowed that to come into my space. Like you said, you keep finding the good. When people are saying, girl, no, what are you missing? Yes. Why you can't see what I see? Because I only see the good, because that's all I want to see.
Right.
So then finally, that's all I want to see. I don't want to see the bad, because it hasn't come to me. But it has come to you. You just overpower it with the good that they do.
Right.
So, it's, both of them hit close on, but, it's how we all relate them to our personal lives. It's how it impacts. But, I'll conclude with this. There's nothing that I've gone through in my life that I would go back and say, could I redo it and redo it differently? Because if I did do it differently, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Yes. Exactly.
So I'm grateful for the journey.
Yep.
Well, on that note, we're going to take a brief break. You are watching My Sister's Keeper on PowerPlayRadioNetwork.com. Stay tuned. My Sister's Keeper on PowerPlayRadioNetwork.com. Just to let you know that PowerPlay Radio Network is having a white weekend. Yes, and you are invited on Friday, July 28th through Saturday, July 29th. On Friday, we're having a Do You Blue from 6 to 9, where we'll do meet and greet cocktails. And on Saturday, the morning, we're going to have an author's book bazaar. So those of you who like our good reads, you'll be able to go out and find a whole lot of good reads. And that's going to be from 10 to 2. And in that evening, that's when the My Sister Keepers ladies, we're going to turn up in our all whites, because that's what we share. All together, we have that white. You can be mother.
She gonna wear the missionary robe.
Right, she gonna wear right. They don't have the
As long as it's not a moo-moo.
She teases me about my white. That's off the record. But and then and then I'm gonna wear white next time at that shoot. But and then from 9 to 12 we're having an after party. So this will all be held at the Sheraton Suites Market Center at 2101 North Stemmons Freeway. You can find out more information. You can call us at 469-971-5224 or 469-335-6688. We would love for you to come out and meet us, come out and show some love, find out who all the other radio personalities are. here on Power Play Radio. And once again, that number is 469-335-6668. 6668. So come out in your all white. We would love to see you. If you can come out on the Do Blue, we would love to meet and greet you there as well. So as we go back into our topic today, one of the things...
Before you go back into the topic, something you didn't mention. If you've never had the opportunity to meet Mr. and Mrs. Willis, they are a couple that shows what black love really looks like. They work together, they go home together, they eat together, they sleep together. But when I tell you, when you walk into the studio, you feel the warmth that they have invested into this.
Absolutely.
And it is black owned and operated. So if nothing else, please come out and meet Mr. and Mrs. Willis, who is right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, and see the things that they are doing, not just for the radio listeners, the online listeners, but also for the community. They really give back to the community. So please, and you know, you have the phone number. Sometimes just pick up the phone and say, be our sister's keeper, and just say, thank you for serving our community and bringing back a positive light into the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex.
Absolutely.
Okay, you can have it back now.
Okay.
Can we get a hand clap? Can we get a hand clap? Oh, wow. Okay, well, you know, that really sums it up what I was about to say, because we wanted to really talk about the difference between transactional and relational relationships. You know, when you're looking at how do you categorize people. And so I wanted to go into our next phase, because again, we encourage you to really take action for your life. We don't want you to just listen to us and say yes or no, I didn't agree with it or didn't like it at all, but actually look at it and apply it to your life. So one of the things we're going to put up on our Facebook group page and our radio page is called, in science terminology, it's called the Boyle's Matrix. That's BOYLE''S. And that's Boyle's Matrix. And it talks about the differentiation between people who are willing and unwilling, or basically those, how do you categorize them in your life? And so we were talking Saturday, and I said sometimes you have to look at it from a business perspective. You know, relationships should be relational. They shouldn't be transactional, but we know we have a lot of transactional people in our lives who love us in that capacity, or deal with us in that capacity. So what we want you to do is actually take the time and start categorizing people. So you have 4 categories. You have the unwilling and unable. If they're unwilling and unable, these are your questionable relationships.
Right.
Simply because, you know, this is what we would call 9 times out of 10 a reject, because they are unwilling and they're unable. And so what you're going to find yourself doing in this relationship all the time is telling someone what to do, or you're going to be doing it all for them. And I'm not talking about a man or a woman. I'm talking about man and woman, because these could be your relationships with your family, with your boss, with your co-workers, with your kids, and you know, and
with
your
kids.
significant others. So you have to be willing to know that in this time, if I have people who are in the unwilling and unable stage or phase or category, then you have to choose whether or not you're going to give. These are what we call our rejects again. The next one, and that's going to be a transactional relationship. The next one, you have someone who is willing and able. Well, you know, willing and able, that's a relational relationship. We know we always want those people who are willing to give. They know how to love. They know how to give. And they're always looking to better themselves as well as better you. And so you get a high return on this relationship. The way you operate in this relationship, you look for dialogue. These are pretty much, if you have your sister keepers and the people who keep it real in your life, you're going to be able to dialogue with them. You're going to be able to reinforce what they're doing, and they're going to give that back in return. And more so than not, you can validate each other because you know the intent in the relationship. The next one, let's see which way we want to go. Let's stay on the relational side. Our next relational relationship is the unwilling and unable. So unwilling and unable, it is a relational relationship. However, in this relationship, this is going to take the most work. It is where most of your energy vampires exist. It's where most relationships go bad because they're able, but they're just unwilling. So you'll find yourself either choosing I call it pick your battles. Choose your battles. Because some people in your life, we can't get rid of mamas, and even though they're unwilling to come in and, at least be nice to the person you love or keep your kids every now and then, they're unwilling to do that. However, so you have to be supportive, but you choose your battles. So every time you don't look for them to do certain things because you know where they are. Right. But, looking at, I think in this category, you really have to find people where you can meet them where they are, and then actually talk to them from a perspective of giving them challenges.
So
mentoring, yeah, mentoring. And yes and no, because again, this is a relational, which means when I say relational, that means you're going to spend more time investing in the relationship. Right. But it may be at a low return.
Yeah.
Right. So in this category,
run from that because that's too much work. That sounds like too much work.
Right. So you're going to get a relationship in return. It's just you're going to do all the work. You're going to do all the work, and you won't be fulfilled in the process because you're giving so much.
Pass, please.
And so last but not least is our willing and our able. And so in our willing able, this is probably our most promising relationship. Right. This is that relationship where we talked about a project. So now you want to, I wanted to walk you through how do you identify a project, how do you identify a reject, how do you classify these people in your life. Mm-hmm. So this is probably be your project pile. Because again, they're willing to give you everything. They're willing to add value to the relationship. They're just unable, which means they don't have the skills or where they've been won't allow them to get to that point, or they just don't know. You talked about the entrepreneur. So, you have somebody who's willing, they're just, if they haven't already taken off or launched and they don't know what to do to become an entrepreneur, then they're probably more unable to do it. And this is a transactional relationship because you're going to find yourself once again just give, and not get anything. But I will say it may seem transactional in the beginning, but again, this may yield the highest return. Remember, I told you need to find out if that house, the foundation is cracked completely in the house, or if it just needs to be remodeled. If we just need to add a new floor to it, put a new fresh coat of paint on it, and if you flip it to yourself, you need to look at yourself as what am I giving? Because remember, we always go, sometimes when we know we're not ready for relationships, we're seeking what we can get out of it. When you're ready for a relationship, you go into a relationship looking at what do I have to give? What do I have to give? And so what do I have to give? So again, if you really find someone who is willing and able, don't cast them into the reject side. Just, we talked about pre-projects and post-projects. So at this point, it becomes one of those things of where you are in your life as a woman or as a man. Am I willing to invest in a pre-project, or do I want the post-project? Because either way, most of them fell in that willing and unable category at some point. You just got the post from it. Right. So now, if some of them in the post can now give you the willing and the able and give you that fulfilling relationship, but sometimes even though they look like they have the stuff, they still may be in that willing but unable phase.
But before you can even start categorizing people, you also need to know where you fit.
Right.
Because that's going to determine how you place people.
Where you fit and what you can give. Because some people can't coach. Some people who complain so much, you spend more time telling people what to do, and you haven't even looked at yourself. Like, who's going to tell you what to do? Nobody. Well, it doesn't work. You can't tell me. You're in the unwilling and unable category too. So yes, you got to know what to give and when to give it. So sometimes we had our girlfriends that call, and you look at that phone, and you're like, God, not today, not today. And so you would go on and hit that smooth, send the voicemail call, or
and then they text you,
send the voicemail. So listen, don't just let it ring. If you know, just let it ring. You mean you wasn't by your phone. Right. But, you really have to look at that because sometimes...
I just saw you post on Facebook.
I'm just playing. Listen, I tell my friends anytime... Look, I tell my friends just hit like if I just hit like. So if I really like it, I need to start typing the word like because I find myself just saying like, and when I don't even like it, it just, we got to get... So, yeah, see, that's what Facebook does. See, that's social media. It programs you into thinking that you feel...
Right.
You have to feel something.
Let me just look at it.
How many times you read the subject caption?
Now, what if we could do that with our reject relationships? You just hit like. Well, if you stay in it long enough, that's what you've been doing. You've been hitting like. And then they didn't upgrade it, so your friends on the outside looking at you saying, wow, and the other one's looking at you with a little mad face. so sincere. And then when you get the project, it looks like it's good, so everybody's sending you the hearts. You get all the little hearts. And so,
Except the reject.
Except for the reject, again, automatically, you
He's sending a mad
get a
face.
thumbs down.
He's big man.
So you just have to know. So again, look, you can always apply everything to a certain situation. So what emoji would your friends use for your relationship? And then that may be a way of you actually adding value to your Bulls matrix with your category
Maybe we
of people.
should post that.
What would your friend? Oh yeah, what emoji
That would be good.
would they use to describe your relationship? Oh, let's make them mad. But we'll be my sister's keeper by telling you the truth. But yeah, that's good. Let's do that. So, ladies, we are going to put this on our page. It'll be a blank Bulls matrix. We'll kind of have an outline with some of the things I went over. I know it may have been a lot, but just know that once you see it, it'll be self-explanatory. We encourage you to take those and put the people who you feel take a lot from you. Look and put them in a category. Look at the people who add value to you, where you just can't wait to talk to them again. And then look at the people who you just have to be with day in and day out. And sometimes they could be co-workers and supervisors and spouses.
You don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice. So, but when you do it, you just have to you have to remind yourself that when I'm dealing with, if Danita was unwilling and unable, 9 times out of 10, I'm probably just going to take baby steps and when I do deal with her. But if she was unwilling and able to, I just have to find the energy on any given day to say, okay, let me entertain her for today. Let me find out what's going on, because I still love her, but I just can't give it to you today. And that's part of knowing yourself and loving yourself, is when you understand that I have to be different people I have to be a different person for the different people in my life.
Interact with,
And so,
because everybody does not.
They don't, they love different,
Right.
They have a different need. So that's one of the things of knowing that every relationship can't be the same. We always tell people, you can't burn every bridge. Every relationship can't be the same. You can't get mad at people the same way. So what is it in it that maybe you're not happy with, because you keep seeing the same thing in the same people? So we can say, you always attract the same people, or we can say, hey, there's something inside you that don't like you at this moment, so what do we need to do?
On your ish.
But you also got to look at
Take a
yourself.
look at it.
Look at yourself.
Right. You got to look at yourself.
So, that's what I'm going to ask. Energy, so if you had to exes, where would you put them? What
Really?
Yeah. Let's do this.
Oh,
So we have our matrix.
I'm drinking.
What would you? But this is not the segment. Wrong segment. Sipping.
So I'm a sip on this
What I
Ooh.
think I'm
So-
Are you saying pre or post project or
We're
project
talking willing.
reject? Or are you
What
talking
are you
about willing?
I'm talking about
unwilling,
overall.
able, what we doing? Where we putting them? I need to know where I'm gonna put them.
I don't know.
Unwilling.
Where you put them? If I
I
knew, I
can
wouldn't
tell you
ask.
where I can put them. I mean, where I put them.
Where?
X.
X
Period.
is an X.
But where were they in the point to where they became the ex? Because sometimes rejects, those are easy. We kind of, get
For
tired.
me, it was unwilling and able.
That's what I'm
You able, but you just ain't willing.
Okay.
So, yes.
So just finding yourself giving time, always going the extra mile.
Oh Lord, ooh, that was so draining. That was.
It's draining because they think they know and they don't know, and then when you try to offer
Mhm.
your advice, and it's like, well, no, that ain't what somebody told me. Well, then why you didn't have your homeboy do it for you? Why you wasting my energy?
Stop wasting my time.
Stop
and
sucking
energy.
life out of me, leech.
Woo.
Oh,
Yeah.
did I say that?
You did.
Yeah.
But it's
Because we
the
wanted to
truth.
know what category you didn't still tell us the category.
Mm.
I think it was. I think it would be. I think it's a cross between. They were willing, but they were unable,
Okay.
and it was and the unable wasn't because of lack of the will to do. It was lack of knowledge.
Mm.
And unfortunately, pride took over and allowed them to seek the help. And then even when you did, you want to come back to me after you done went to Dr. Google, and your homeboy and your homegirl and your auntie and your uncle, and they done told you something different, but the one in the house is the one that you're sucking the life out of, saying, can you do this, can you do that? And then you take it to somebody else, and you give it to them, and you come back to me and you say, well, that's not what they said, and they want it done this way, or they want it done that way. That's draining to me. And for me, I told you I only got a certain amount of oxygen.
Right.
You know, and the older I get, that oxygen tank is very slim. So I mean, you know, you know, I'm just like, ooh, let me get a good one. Okay, phone ring. Okay, let's go. You know, but you know, that's what it would be. They were able but unwilling.
Interesting. So, ladies, gentlemen, if you choose to take the challenge as well, look at where you put it. So I would encourage you to actually go back first, do a step further, and put your X's in the box in the category first, because you got to know where you're being and know where you're going. If you've been with somebody for years, then maybe put how many times over the course of the years they've been in different boxes. You know,
And I'm thinking about it because I'm like, can you have an unwilling and able, and then a willing but unable? Do you see how you can have
Say that again?
You can have an unwilling and able, and it's just certain situations. They're unwilling and able, but at the same time, they are willing and unable.
Mm-hmm.
For example, yeah, I want to do right. I want to be this for you, but I can't because I don't really know how. It's kind of what you just
My
went to.
environment hasn't taught me.
I don't know how. I'm here and I say I love you and I want to be this, but I don't know how. But at the same time, I'm trying to, and here I go exerting this energy because you're saying you want to and you don't know how, but I'm trying to teach you how. Because you say you want to love me, you want to do right, you want this relationship, and so then I'm trying to teach you how. Now you're unwilling and able because I've given you the tools that I need. I told you what I need.
Right.
So you said you were willing, you weren't able because you didn't have the tools, because you didn't know. So now I'm telling you, I'm here, I'm schooling you, I'm doing whatever, but now you're not willing for me. But now you're not willing to do it. You're able because I've equipped you with the tools to do it.
But just
And now you just don't want to because of pride or because now that I've taken the time to show you, and now you just.
So then it goes
You
back
don't want
to
to do it.
they're pretending to be with you.
Right.
So, you know,
because that grass was green on the other side, so they know. So I took the tools that you gave me and watered somebody else's grass, only to find out that when you left me, the grass died also.
Right.
Yeah.
So the moral story is water your own grass.
That's it.
Treat your own grass. Just because I have St. Augustine, I still get grub worms if I don't do what I'm supposed to do. So you're welcome to come take that.
Yes,
Take that
grub
to the
worms
bank.
are hard to get rid of.
Yes. Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to play Hot on the Spots, and we're going to do our wrap up. You stay tuned to My Sister's Keeper.
My Sister's Keeper, Style and Grace. We are in the place. Want to give a few community announcements for Power Play. Coming to Power Play Radio and Power TV the first Tuesday of each month is Power Talk with Stephanie Knowles. I don't know if she's related to Beyonce or not, but her last name is Knowles. The show starts on September the 5th, 2017 from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. with in-studio guests and interviews with politicians, media executives, celebrities, financial advisors, and others. This is the second community-based show by Power Play Radio Network and Power TV. That should be interesting when we talk about politicians with everything that's going on right now. So look forward to it. Please tune in. Once again, that's September the 5th. Opening show from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. with Stephanie Knowles. And last but not least, for those with the young, tender years, still with style and grace, all in the place, ages 16 to 19, please check out Young Minds with Des Dunbar, a show with young teens from the North Texas area with for ages 16 to 19 with topics on sex, money, dating, and much more. Sex, money, dating, and much more. It's gonna be raw, and it's gonna be the real deal. If you haven't heard,
They need to.
They've been to.
oh, they've been doing it. Oh, they're giving this to me like it's new. Well, it's new to me. I guess I'm gonna have to sign it and make me feel like I'm 16 and 19 again. I guess, for us parents, we actually could sign in to learn the new lingos, find out what's going on. Really listen to see what our teens are talking about. The times are changing, so we do need to be in the know. So please check out Young Minds with Des Dunbar. I believe he's a young person also, right?
Mm-hmm. He's 26.
So he's 26. So once again, our youth are actually putting their mark in the community. So please listen to Des Dunbar on Young Minds. So now, as we go back to Power Play, let me give out a few more shout outs. I want to shout out to Patient Moss and the Daughters of Gilead, Chapter 15, a part of the New Life Grand Chapter. Thank you all for joining us tonight, ladies. We appreciate it. And of course, our many listeners. I think we had Therese. Thank you for telling us you love it. Adondra, I tried to be good. I promise we tried to be good on the show. I hope we did well and we met your needs as you told us to be nice. We were being nice with style and grace. But also, listeners, we do want to ensure that we not only listen for laughs, encouragement, information, or conviction, but we also want you to take action after every show. So keep in mind, as DeAndrea said earlier, that we will post on our page some questions of how the BOYLE, BOYLE''S matrix of how you can actually begin to take action in your own life and begin to put people and categorize them and help you prepare to actually be, once again, to empower yourself from the inside, which will intensify that beautiful you on the outside. Also, whether you helped a project who left or released a project, just know that you were the best thing that they never had, and being crazy in love can only help us grow. So now we're going to do Hot on the Spot. So this is where we actually pick some questions out of a box, and then we have to answer the question that we got. So, I think, Dee, we'll start with you today.
Shake it. When was the last time you went bowling? We went bowling for my staff end of the year party. We did a bowling, and I bowled a 110. Let's
You ready? What's this? What's the worst trouble you got into when you? What's the worst trouble you got into when you were young, and what did you do? Well, there's probably several things, but one thing comes to mind. Instead of doing the normal New Year's Eve celebration at the church house, we were about 15, I believe, and this is that group of women who I grew up with. I think it was 3 or 4 of us. We decided that we were going to go out for New Year's Eve.
15.
Oh, yeah, we were about 15. And so I'm from St. Louis, and it was like icy and snowy. So we went out. Nobody knew where we were at. Our parents were at church. And there was an accident. And we made, I don't know how we made it back home, but we did. And the parents were up waiting on us. And it was bad. But I think we got home by 4 a.m. Parents up waiting for us. We tried to go over to the one house that we thought we weren't going to get in trouble. And her mom was up polishing her fingernails. Oh, come on in. I've already called your mom. There was no sympathy for the accident. I mean, we were okay, but it was bad. It was bad. Just deviating from what the norm was and doing our own thing. It could have been much worse, but those were the shenanigans of a 15-year-old on New Year's Eve.
Well, Happy New Year's.
You never looked at Happy New Year's the same.
Never. After that, we went to church every year.
Every year.
Everybody was grounded. Everybody.
Do you like the mountains, coastline, or the plains? Coastline. Why? Oh gosh. Okay, I got it. Coastline. I like being near the water. I love being near the water. It's relaxing to me. I can't swim a lick. So I don't know why I like being near the water, but
Like
anytime
that.
you say beach, pool party, anything, I'm there.
Lifestyle.
Can't swim a lick.
I need you to go to the Y and get some lessons. To the Y.
I'll go with her.
Yeah, I need y'all to go
That's
to the
coming
Y
up
and
on
get
My
some
Sister's
lessons.
Keeper. We're going to have swim lessons. That's what we do.
Yeah. So you
ladies,
can't swim either?
Like, I can, but if you don't swim in a long time, I just hope that I would save myself if I had to. But
Yes.
one wants to be.
I only got a certain amount of
I want to be able to
oxygen.
swim in my new body.
So that means she ain't helping
She
none of
ain't
us.
right.
Nobody.
Swim in my new body.
We're gonna be on our own on that one. Oh, let's see. Okay. Other than pizza, what is your favorite Italian dish? Is lasagna Italian?
Yes.
There you go.
All day.
More
Yes.
meat, more cheese, more
Mm.
pasta,
Yes.
and all this thickness to my. I would have to say,
Lobster.
yes, I would have to say, you know what? No, it's not. It's lobster ravioli. I'm glad you said lobster. It's actually the Italian dish, lobster ravioli. I will eat it.
Fancy.
Very good.
And it's very good. You
Fancy.
saw me. If you saw me in the 90s till you see me today, you know that I've taken very good care of paying somebody's lobster tab and keeping their restaurant open. But no, it would have to be lobster ravioli.
And the last of the group.
That's the group.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are you a front seat driver or a back seat driver? Okay, so I'm gonna say it like this, and to any men that are out there listening, I am a front seat driver, but I would love to be a passenger.
Yes.
And so know that I can very well get in the driver's seat and lead and drive us wherever you want to go, but I want to be a passenger. And so, can you be my front seat driver? Is the question.
I'm a rider also. However, I've been having to drive, so I don't know. And then when I ride with people that can't drive, it's terrible. So I'm telling them what to do. I think I'm both, front and
Oh,
back.
look at mother.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Daisy.
Driving Miss
Yes,
Daisy.
front and back. Yes. You know.
I would say I am a front seat driver, but I drive so much. It seems like I'm my daughter's personal Uber driver to all her events and to dance and to the movies and to this. It's like, all I do is drive myself to work and that's it. And then everything else is about her. So I just want to be a passenger. I just want to sit back and relax and let somebody else drive me.
She can in another year.
I know. I am a front seat driver. I'd like to be, I don't want to be no passenger. I want to be Miss Daisy. I want to be a backseat driver. And I don't want to tell you to go nowhere. I just want to close my eyes and sleep. Because anybody knows me, You give me 2 minutes of silence, I am done.
Drop a roll up the partition, please.
Yes, drive a roll up the partition. I don't need to hear nothing, and you do not need to hear me snore.
Well, it is that time, ladies and gentlemen, my sisters. So, to close out, to my sister, sometimes you have to forget how you feel and remember what you deserve. You are my keeper and know that I'm yours first. So, straighten your crown and never be afraid to stand out. Inhale confidence, exhale doubt. Until next time, queens, we are my sister's keeper. SiSSTA'S. Yes.
Have a good weekend, everyone.
We'll see you back
See you back.
on August 7th on your ish. August 7th on your ish. Take us out, Mary J, with our doubts. Exhale it though.